everybody? This is Shay coming back at y'all with another episode of the Emmaus Proposition. Yo, it's been a couple weeks since I've been able to be with y'all, man. It's been a bunch of stuff going on. So we had a family member of ours pass away. I think the last episode I did, I was talking about suicide, and so I had to go up to Washington to hold that funeral. Coast Guard did an awesome job, man. He was in the Coast Guard. Coast Guard did an awesome job having us out there, and shout out to those folks up there, man, up at Port Angeles. They really did it right, man. And thank y'all for loving our family and welcoming us in, taking care of us while we grieved. It was awesome. And then we did a ceremony, like an at-sea ceremony, where we were able to spread the ashes, and couldn't think of anything better, man. So y'all did great, and but it's been a couple weeks since I've been able to be on here on the Emmaus Proposition, man. And quite honestly, I haven't even been thinking of topics just because it's been so crazy the last couple weeks trying to get up to Washington. Yo, this Seattle airport is terrible, like terrible, y'all. And yo, we got to the airport like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours early, because we was thinking we was going to be able to chill out and have some lunch. Yo, why did TSA take like 2.5 hours, man, just to get through the TSA, like to try to get through to where your plane is boarding? Took 2.5 hours. Like, this is crazy. It's crazy up there. I don't know how y'all fly out of there. So got back home, man. Got a quick night's sleep. And yo, got some braces. Yo, y'all can't see me if y'all listening to me on Spotify, which if y'all listen on Spotify, man, y'all, shout out to y'all, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all showing love, all the support, man. I see all the views that's going up over there. So yo, I appreciate y'all, man, listening to my silly voice talk about stuff. But for what y'all can't see, I got some new hardware in the grill. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, got some braces actually earlier today. My daughter, she needed to get some braces, so I was like, I can't let my baby girl do it by herself. So I went in there, got some, and trying to figure out how to work my mouth right now to talk like I want to. But my mom's came in town, man. So it's been a whirlwind of a last couple weeks, man. That's all I gotta say. But I'm back. I'm ready to dive into some of this stuff with y'all, man. I appreciate the love that y'all showing me, man. I'm looking forward to having some more folks on, man. It's crazy talking to yourself the whole time. So I'm looking forward to having some people on and chopping it up on some crazy subjects. But y'all know how we do over here on this Emmaus Proposition, man. It doesn't matter what subject we talking about, man. It could be anything in culture, politics, sports, music, whatever have you, man. Everything in all creation is from Christ, through Christ, and to Christ, man. And that's what we want to do, man. We want to have these regular old conversations, sometimes silly conversations, in some kind of way, man, prove that everything in all existence points back to the love of God that we find in Christ. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to chop it up a little bit, man. I'm looking forward to diving back in. Pause. So today's subject, because we got the holidays coming up, you know what I mean? So we're going to talk about Christmas a little bit. And over the years, I've been called a lot of names by my loved ones. I remember as a little kid, man, just because as a little kid, like I wasn't overly expressive with my emotions and stuff like that. So Christmas time would come around, my mom and them would give me presents, and I would just be like, "Yo, thanks, I appreciate it." But I wouldn't be like, "Oh man, I can't believe you got this for me." Da, 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 da. And I remember I used to offend them. Like it was offensive because, you know, you get somebody, you take the time to buy a present for somebody and get it for them, and you're wrapping it for them, and you're trying to gauge if they like it, if they're going, play with it or use it or wear it or whatever. And then the person is just like, meh, I appreciate the effort. It's offensive. So I remember, I don't know why that was, man. I was never excited for overly material stuff. Now don't get me wrong. Like back when I was a little shorty, like you get me like a He-Man set, like you get me something from He-Man. You get me one of them Voltron joints. Yo, you might get me to do a cartwheel in that joint. But as I got older, I just became like less. And I think at the time as a teenager, you just going through teenage emotions, trying to figure out life and all that kind of jazz, right? But and Christmas for a lot of people is just rough, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think I was one of those people that just had a rough time for some reason had a rough time as I started growing up. And then went into the military, and I remember that first Christmas I spent by myself. It was brutal, y'all. It was, I did not have a great time at all. So I was sitting up in the dorm room. People was going home to spend time with family, but I didn't get a chance to go home. So I was just sitting up in the dorm room, man. Got some chow hall food, maybe even some ramen. I forget what I ate, but I remember it was not fun. And just spent it by myself. And I just remember like being low. You know what I'm saying? I was off. I had gotten myself to Cali. So I'm from South Carolina originally, but I'm off in California. I don't know nobody. I had just got there, so I really ain't even hardly met the squadron yet because everybody's really gone because of the holidays. And so I was stuck. And spent it by myself. And so there was a lot of, I think those experiences just kind of built on top of each other, right? And then I came into the faith. And usually Christmas time, here's what Christians do at Christmas time, man. Like, we are so excited to celebrate the birth of Christ. I don't think we look at all the elements of what all those things mean. So one of the things that happened when I became a Christian, like I looked at my first stop as far as American holidays, which if you consider the word holiday, it's holy day. So one of the American holy days is Halloween. And I remember thinking through Halloween. I remember it being on my radar before I became a Christian. Like there's something weird about Halloween, man. Like when we was little, like you had cats that was putting like razor blades and cyanide and stuff like that in candy bars and handing them out to kids. So Halloween was always kind of a little fishy for me because you're like, what is this thing about? And so looking at all the different elements as far as what Halloween was, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can't get down on this. So then once I wrote off Halloween, and my wife was pretty supportive about that one. She was like, yeah, no, I see it. I don't think that's something our family's going to participate in. So we don't really do that, right? Then we turned our sights to, I turned my sights. I'll say that. I turned my sights to Christmas. And I looked at all the different elements, right? Like, even all the Christmas songs we sing are kind of like we talking about like Jack Frost. We talking about Yuletide carols. Like Yuletide actually like means something. Like that was like a paganistic religious worship element. When you talk about like the Yuletide, and when you talk about like the wreaths that you put stuff around, and when you talk about like bringing the tree into your home and decorating the tree and all those different elements, right? Those didn't originate with Christianity, and we're so, I was about to say earlier, like as Christians we're so focused on Jesus is the reason for the season, right? We got that little tagline that we never stop to think about all the different elements that are not even Christian in origin. So you got all these things, and I start looking deep into it, and I don't necessarily want to go into it here, man, because I think over the years what I found out is people are hard up about Christmas. Like they really they're really hard up about like celebrating Christ during that time of year. Forget where the holy day originated, and forget what kind of elements are tied to it that are not Christian at all, but that we've kind of put a Christian twist on it. Like we sprinkled some Jesus like on top of it, like it's like we're salted meat or something like that. I'm not going to get super deep into it. I'll post a link though down in the description where you can, if you so choose, you can read it for yourself, because there's a lot of elements. Yo, these braces are like when I'm talking, man, my mouth ain't doing what I want it to do. There's a lot of those elements that when you look at them in their original context, they're anything but Christian in nature. So a lot of people like to say, like, so they'll take like the candy cane, right? And the candy cane, they're like, if you turn it upside down, it's a J for Jesus. And yo, it's like, it's a good effort, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's creative and stuff like that, but come on, man, that's not where that originated. You know what I'm saying? People like to say, yeah, we're celebrating the birth of Christ. Yo, Jesus was not born on December 25th. Like, Jesus was born earlier in the year. And I don't know when. It was either maybe in the fall time or in the summertime. You know, because you got shepherds out there tending the sheep. So they're not tending the sheep in the wintertime. Anyway, there's a reason why Christmas is on December 25th. You know what I'm saying? So there's all that. The Christmas tree. People say, you know, we light our house with the lights, and we wrap our tree with lights to celebrate, you know, the angels that came, that were announcing the birth of Christ. And it's cute and it's creative, but it's just it's like a sprinkle. It's like it's a Jesus sprinkling. And so yeah, I got personal stuff. Not that I don't want to celebrate the Lord coming into the earth. Like that's not it at all. Like, I think we should have a time when we note something like ultimately miraculous, like not just that Jesus was born, which was a miracle all in itself, right? Like that's crazy. Like, he was born of a virgin. That's wild stuff right there, right? The true miracle is that God on high would look at his sinful creation with love and send his only son into the world to save and redeem them. That's the miracle. I think we should celebrate that all day long. That has nothing to do with going broke, trying to get your kids a bunch of gifts. That has nothing to do with bringing a tree into your home, like a pagan festival. Bringing a tree into your home and decorating it. Has nothing to do with getting drunk with a bunch of eggnog. Because, you know, you can't just have regular eggnog. You got to have that good eggnog. So, you know, there's stuff, right? What Christmas should be about. And even the word Christmas, man, it's from Catholicism. It's saying like the Christ Mass. So it's the re-crucifixion of Christ. That's what Christ Mass is talking about. So it's all like we just got all kind of stuff, and it's all over the place. And there's a point, man, where I despise talking about it to people, because like I said, they want their Christmas. They're like, bah humbug on you for not liking Christmas. And so we had some friends over, and it was a fun conversation. Like, it was funny, because they were like they were talking about their kids and gifts, and some kind of way they were like, yeah, if our kids like get to hunting for their, I remember what it was. I would say they were asking how come we didn't really have a bunch of presents around the tree yet. And I was like, well, we typically don't. We typically spend like the night before wrapping all the presents, and so that the kids don't go through them and stuff. And they were like, yo, if our kids peek into a box and they found out what we get them, we'll just send that joint back. And I was like, yo, what? You can't send it back. Like, you still got to give it to them, right? And they were like, nah. Thankfully, we've never had to send anything back. But we told them, if y'all go searching and y'all find something, we sending it back. I was like, yo, that's crazy. But they're looking at me and they're like, because I come through and I'm like, I don't even understand the reason that we doing any of this stuff. Like, we get all this stuff. We got a bunch of stuff in the house right now. Like Amazon boxes galore, and it's not necessarily from us, but like the grandparents have got a bunch of stuff, and they send it on ahead and stuff like that. And so there's a bunch of boxes we got to wrap, and I'm like, just the process of taking a gift and wrapping it up, just so the kids can tear it apart just a few hours later. And my wife is like, yeah, but like it's the surprise element. Like the kids get a chance to be happy, and they're getting gifts, and it's the excitement about it all, and it's a surprise about it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so, man. And I try, man. Like I definitely, she's gonna laugh at me when she hears this episode, because like she knows how much of a struggle it is for me. Like I try to keep all my stuff to myself, but she'll come through and she'll make fun of me every now and then, because I don't know, like I don't get it. And so I was telling that to our friends, and they were like, man, you are bah humbug. Like, what is it? What is that thing? And I'm like, I don't think I'm bah humbug, man. I think I'm serious. I'm serious about the stuff that we do. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to do anything idly. Like I want to know, like, what what is it that I'm celebrating? What is it that why am I doing this thing? Am I doing it for the glory of God? Or am I trying to win the approval of my children? Or am I trying to win the approval of my coworker? You know what I'm saying? Am I just spreading Christmas cheer, which I hear a lot of people say? And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Spread Christmas cheer. I don't know. Like I think people just they want to be happy this time of year, and they spent all year like dealing with this thing and that thing, and they come to this time of year and they're like, I want to see smiles on people's faces. I want to bring joy and peace into their life. Like they hear that. I think culture has borrowed that call from the angels. When the angels are speaking to Mary, they say, peace from on high. Like peace is coming from God. God is sending his son into the world. But have you ever stopped to think about the world that God was sending his son into? You ever stop to think about that? Like it wasn't clean by any means. It wasn't cheerful. Jesus is born into a world where King Herod is in power. As soon as he hears that like a king is being born, he murders a whole town full of two-year-old and unders. This is the like the ugliness of the world that Jesus was born into. You know what I'm saying? Like he's born in essentially a place where he's amongst animals. There's some debate about whether it was like a 2-story home and maybe the bottom story had like a compartment for animals, but either way, like he was put in a feeding trough for animals. And so I'm sure it didn't smell great. He's born to a mom that got all kind of controversy around her. Like she's the town, she's getting all kind of gossip talked about her. 'Cause young girl sitting around talking about, I don't know how I got pregnant. I was chilling one day and an angel rolled up on me and he told me that God was gonna. And the town is looking at her and she's like, I don't know. And the town is like, come on, man. Come on, man. You know. Controversy. Like, there's controversy. There's ugliness. There's strife. There's all this stuff. And then, like, then we come across Christmas and we're like, let's mask all of our stuff. Let's hide it for another part of the year. And I think, man, I think that almost robs what Christmas is about, man. Christmas is a time when, like, God is sending his son into the world to be in the muck, to be in the all the hard times and all the controversies and all the strife that goes on in the world. Not that he not that you can't bring joy with it. And I think that's like the misconception of what people think about me, right? I'm not trying to, like, rob people of joy or anything like that. But I'm serious about my faith, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, as you have these little elements, I want to know what those elements mean, like what they actually mean and what they mean toward God. So putting up a tree, what does that mean toward God? Wrapping that tree with lights and ornaments and stuff like that. What do those ornaments mean? What are we doing with those things? Is it a tree of remembrance? Because like optically, check this out. We put up a tree in our home, and then we put gifts around it. And I'm thinking about that as far as worship, right? As far as my relationship with God, and anything that we erect and we put gifts around is like an altar. And I'm trying, and like, I have that thought and I'm processing it, and I can't always share it with people because they don't understand where I'm coming from. And so it's just weird. But do I love my wife? 100%. Does she get a tree if she wants a tree? You better believe it, Jack. Will I put up some lights for her so I can see her smile? Man, you better know it. You better know it. Man, maybe one day I can wear her pretty self down to the point where she's like, I finally get what you talk about. And we'll go from there. Up until that point, man, it's not a hill to die on. It's just these thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody should be able to challenge their presuppositions. Like, everybody should be able to challenge why they do the things they do. You shouldn't just do stuff because it's, whoa, we've always done it that way. Some of the worst things in history that have happened have been from people just doing stuff without really necessarily thinking about it. And I think that's one of those things that we see at Christmas time, man. Like, we just see a host of people that just they just do stuff. Like, if you ask people, why are you buying your kids so many presents? They'll be like, I don't know. Like, that's what you're supposed to do, I guess. I don't know. Yo, my wife, I'll give her a shout out because, like, when we start having kids, we're like, we ain't doing all the crazy amount of gifts, man. We getting our kids 3 gifts: something they need, something they want, and something to read. So the something they need is like clothes and stuff like that. Something they want is like a toy, maybe 2, but it's got to fit in a box. You know what I'm saying? And then something to read. We want our kids reading. And anything else they get is coming from the grandparents. Like, grandparents get grandparents' discretion. If they want that big toy, don't ask mom, dad. Go ask grandma. Go ask grandma. And it works out because they make out like fat rats, man. Our kids, and they're good about it, man. One of the other things we do, because what we wanted to establish with our kids was, Christmas it's not supposed to be about gimme, 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 right? Christ came into the world to, like, he was the gift of God to the world, and so God emptied himself and put on flesh. And so we're like, man, in the same way that God emptied himself and put on flesh, there might be some things you need to give up, of some things that you like in your room, that it's time to get rid of and bless some other kids with them, like, because we want to bless other people. And so we'll have our kids go through Okay, what are you giving away this year? Because there's some stuff we ain't keeping. And, the kids, they try to run game. And so they'll pick out the stuff that's tattered and they don't want no more. It's kind of halfway broke, so they don't really play with it anymore. And they'll put that out. And I'm like, nah, Jack. Nope. It's got to be something that's you're gonna feel it. And trying to get them into that mode of you don't need to get all the time. Like you don't need to get the gimmies. The reason why we do 3 gifts, man, Jesus got 3 gifts. What more do you need? The Son of Man, the Son of God, like God incarnate, got 3 presents. Yes, one of them was gold. I don't know how much gold it was, but I ain't giving my kids no gold bars. Let's just put it like that. But I think the other elements were like burial elements. Frankincense and myrrh is stuff that they would use in their burial rites. So it was precursive of like this is going to be a king, but also like, man, like how God will put it onto the hearts of people, like to give him burial elements. Like he was born to die. Like there was a reason why he was born, and that's, man, those are the things that Christmas is supposed to be about, right? But we get it all mixed up, and we treat it like it's another day that, man, we take time out of Thanksgiving to start getting ready for Christmas. Like people will take Black Friday and slam the stores, man. They'll take Cyber Monday, man, and they're just like, just buying all kind of stuff online, right? Amazon Prime Day. Amazon is like racking up the dough, man. We got a Shields here in town. It's like a sports hardware store. Sports hardware? Sports, I guess. It's like a sporting goods store. Let's say it like that. But it's giant. It's like Dillard's, like 4 Dillards. Like they're just, it's all over the place. I mean, it's like they got Foot Locker. They could put a Foot Locker in there. They could put a Dillard's in there. They put, it's a Dillard, yeah, Dillard Sporting Goods. Anyway, it's a huge sporting goods store, and I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, and he's doing some work over at that place, over at Shields. He said, man, in one day, this past Saturday, they did $2 million worth of revenue in one day at one store. One store, they did $2 million worth of revenue. I was like, in one day? That's crazy. They got all kind of stuff though, man. They got everything. They got, if you got a sport, they got the equipment for it. But that's what we've turned Christmas into, man. Like it's not something that it's a celebration of God breaking the the normatives of reality and sending his son, like injecting himself into his creation. That's not what we're celebrating. We end up buying a bunch of stuff, and it's a bunch of meism and setting our kids up on a pedestal and getting them all this kind of stuff, and then to boot, right? Like on top of all the stuff that like we're off in our celebrations, then all these negative feelings come in during this time of year. Like as a helping agent, walking people through the holidays has always been like one of the craziest part of the jobs, man. Like it's, people get so down during the holidays, man. Like this is the time of year when people are at almost their worst emotionally. And I don't know what that is, man. Like it's almost like the more joy we try to create on our own, the more negative impact that it has. And I think the reason that is because true joy is supposed to come from Christ himself. When we're trying to like put our joy into like consumerism and to buying stuff and to giving people like false hope and all this kind of stuff, I think it has a negative effect on people's lives and their souls. The true joy is that God thought about us and wouldn't allow us to rot for eternity in our sin. I think that's the true joy. I think if we were spreading that, I don't think we would have to buy anybody a single present. I don't think we would have to bring a single tree into the home. I don't think we would have to pay an ungodly amount on our power bill because we're putting up so many lights. I don't think we would have to do that. I don't think we would have to walk around singing songs about pagan religions. I don't think we would have to do that. I think the message is powerful enough that God cares about his people, and that promise to never leave them or forsake them was realized in Christ. I think that's crazy enough. But here we are. What I will say about Christmas time, man, it does make people refocus on Christ, man. There's a lot of people that they grow up in vicinity of church, you know what I'm saying? And this is 1 or 2 times a year that they're receptive to hearing about the love of God. And so, like, straight up taking full advantage that it's either the birth of Christ or the resurrection of Christ. There's something about the magnitude of those stories that even 2,000 years later, even though we live right now what I would consider a secular culture, like I think we're moving further and further away from God in the United States. Like it's evident. Like I'm watching the president sign bills that's favoring sinful lifestyles. I'm watching people lose their absolute minds. I'm watching women no longer wanting to be women, and they want to either transition out of being a woman, or all of the honor and respect and, like, I don't know, man. Like I think women are precious to God. You know what I'm saying? And they want to take that preciousness and put it aside and just give away all their goodness. We live in a culture, man, that's almost like we're almost to the point, it seems, of completely flipping what's right and wrong. Because it's like what you like is relative. And if you like this, you can go like it. And so during Christmas time, I think it's 1 of the 2 times a year when people are open to hearing, no, man, God loves you so much that he was willing to break reality and send his only son into the form of a baby who now has to get his backside wiped and has to learn how to walk and has to be comforted when he cries as a baby, like has to experience hunger, has to experience tiredness, has to experience loss and pain. God did that for you so that your sinful self didn't have to suffer for all eternity in separation from God, in torment. That's what God did for you. And this time of year is a celebration of God cracking reality. I think, man, that's something I can celebrate. You know what I'm saying? Like that's some good stuff right there. I don't need all the foo-foo stuff. Do I want to bless my kids with gifts? Absolutely. Absolutely, I want to bless my kids with gifts, man. Like, I want them to know that I love them. I adore them. You know what I'm saying? I want my wife to know how much I love her and I appreciate her. I want my family, my mom and my cousins and all that. I want to call them up and, yo, man, what y'all making for dinner? And because this is special food time of year too, right? What y'all making for dinner? And, yo, let's trade recipes. Like, I want to be reminded of how much I love and adore people and need them in my life. I don't need all the extra kind of stuff, man. But I'm going to post that link in the description so y'all can see some of the stuff I'm talking about. And you can accept it if you want. I think it's interesting to know where some of these things come from. That's not to minimize the magnitude of what God has done to our reality. I think it hypes it up more when we can accurately appreciate it and celebrate its actual elements. Not all the elements that come from somewhere else. But we can actually celebrate like God breaking reality and injecting himself into it. Man, I think that's terrific. And I think that's a part of what Jesus was doing on his way up the road to Emmaus, man. And that's the proposition is, even though Christmas is supposed to be centered on Christ, in reality, it's not really. We might sprinkle some on top every now and then, but it's not really. The reality of what Christmas is actually celebrating is so much bigger. And those are the kind of conversations I'm praying that y'all continue to have as you sit down in the scriptures and you're reading. Man, Jesus was born into a crazy time, and he did that for me. That's some wild stuff right there. I'm praying that that's what's on the top of y'all's list as y'all get ready to gather your families together, and maybe you're sipping some eggnog or you're having a good time, opening presents. I'm praying that somewhere in the midst of that, the conversation comes up like, the most precious gift we have is God the Son, but the most precious gift that God gets is us expressing our love and appreciation and thankfulness toward him. So y'all, I hope that's what your Christmas is centered around, man. I love y'all. I hope y'all doing good. Merry Christmas. Obviously there's going to be another episode hopefully between now and New Year's. I'm going to try to set it off. Come back on here, holler at y'all, man. We can talk about New Year's a little bit. But man, I hope y'all doing good, man. I love y'all. Y'all know how we do over here on the Advanced Proposition, man. I appreciate the love. Thank you for everybody watching on YouTube. Thank y'all for tuning in over on Spotify. Y'all help me make this thing big, man, because we just want to bless God over here. So I love y'all. Hit me up in the description. Let me pray for you. And look forward to what this new year is about to bring, especially this season of celebrating Christ. So y'all be good. Y'all be easy. And until next time, grace and peace.